Good afternoon and welcome to this Tuesday, January 15th edition of Westman Newsline. I'm Randy Joseph Lilly alongside Sarah Francis and Colton Yarch. In today's news, we'll tell you more about cuts and more cuts to funding for several organizations in Manitoba, including one here in Brandon. And Sarah will be in with sports. Sarah, I understand there's a spoiler alert in regards to the Lance Armstrong interview with Oprah for this Thursday.
That's right, Randy. Oprah confirmed what other news outlets were already reporting. Lance Armstrong admitted to doping in a pre-taped interview. I'll have more on that story later on in sports.
Thanks, Sarah. And Colton will be in with weather. Colton, it's cold outside and it seems a bit depressing. Any thoughts on how we can cope?
Pull out the perena and stay warm. By the way, that's a feather blanket. Currently in Brandon, it is cloudy and minus 21. A light west wind makes it feel more like minus 24. That's it for now, but I'll have all your weather details later on in the show.
Thanks, Colton. The RCMP has been asked to investigate an allegation on a social media website that police in Brandon, Manitoba forced a man to walk in extremely cold temperatures. The website indicates that a man who is believed to be Aboriginal was driven to the airport on Brandon's north side Saturday night. He was allegedly forced to walk back into the city in bitterly cold weather. The man was picked up by police the same day, but it's not yet clear about whether he laid a complaint about the alleged forced walk. Constable Ron Burgess, a Brandon police spokesman, says the department is taking the matter very seriously and requested Manitoba Justice have an outside agency investigate the alleged police misconduct. An RCMP spokeswoman in Winnipeg says it's not known how long the investigation will take. Renaissance Brandon will be working with a tightened budget for their 2013 year on the heels of City Council's decision to cut $50,000 from urban renewal funding in its 2013 budget. This comes as a major blow to Renaissance Brandon, whose loss will total $100,000 as the province of Manitoba matches the amount the city provides. The cut will have a direct effect on some key projects as they look to move forward. Since 2008, the city has provided $250,000 annually, and this loss, according to Board Chair Sean Cameron, is the first significant drop. And he said it's tough because they plan their budget around those dollar figures, and they must go back to the drawing board. And cuts continue in Winnipeg, where some museum officials are worried about a proposed operating budget that would see grants to Winnipeg museums trimmed by 10%. Under the proposal, the Children's Museum would lose $12,000 in operating funds, and $9,200 promised to help pay for recent renovations. The Manitoba Museum would lose slightly more than $5,000, while the St. Boniface Museum would lose $45,000. Felipe Maillot, director of the St. Boniface Museum, is worried the cuts could make the entire museum irrelevant. From financial cuts to increases now, the new head of Manitoba's Public Utilities Board has laid the ground rules for Manitoba Hydro's request for a 3.5% rate increase April 1st. Chairman Regis Gosselin told Hydro officials last week that ratepayers need to be confident that the Crown Corporation's dam building plans over the next 2 decades are based on solid research. Gosselin made his remarks during a session that delved into why the recently completed Wasquatum generating station came in at more than twice its forecasted budget. A 2004 estimate for Wasquatum was $800 million, but the final cost is $1.7 billion. A Winnipeg organization that distributes Bibles has had its charitable status revoked after it was revealed its treasurer and his family members were improperly receiving benefits from the group. The Canada Revenue Agency stated that much of the funds raised by Gospel Outreach went to the personal benefit of Treasurer Harold Reeve, his family, friends, and business associates. The audit of Gospel Outreach's 2009 operations found 2 trips to the Dominican Republic and a ski trip in Montana. There was also payment of property taxes for a lakefront cabin at Traverse Bay and purchase of a hot tub and other cabin-related expenses. And speaking of expenses, let's take a look at where today's money markets are currently sitting.
Westman Newsline, produced by the IMA Media Production students of Assiniboine Community College. Local news, weather, and sports on Brandon's only TV newscast, Westman Newsline, airing at 1 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on WCG TV.
Now turning to international news, the National Rifle Association criticized violent video games in the wake of the Newtown, Connecticut shooting. And now the NRA is releasing its own mobile phone and tablet game that puts a virtual gun in the hands of the user. But the app's creators say it's all about teaching gun safety. Jamie Chambers reports.
It's an app that's listed for kids 4 years and up. There's no blood. So you can't shoot any people, but there are coffin-shaped targets. And in the wake of the Sandy Hook shootings and gun control knocking on the door, was it a good move for the NRA to release this app?
In the past, they've pointed fingers at video games, they've pointed fingers at Hollywood for contributing to the recent violence. And, you know, with this app, they kind of run the risk of sending conflicting messages.
Public relations strategist Rachel Kay says with so many parents worried about gun violence, the NRA is taking a big risk releasing this game.
It's an aggressive move, absolutely. It's gotten a lot of media coverage.
But at the same time, Kay says the NRA could be playing to their supporters, showing they're not afraid of what victims' parents and politicians say.
Is the timing questionable? Absolutely.
Those who oppose any common sense gun control or gun safety measures have a pretty effective way of ginning up fear on the part of gun owners that somehow the federal government's about to take all your guns away.
Now, with December 2012 on record as the highest number of people submitting to background checks to buy weapons, the president says it's time to make meaningful change with or without Congress.
I'm confident that there are some steps that we can take that don't require legislation and that are within my authority as president.
Having trouble getting motivated on that New Year's resolution to lose weight? Just wait until you hear this inspirational story of a Wisconsin woman who once weighed more than 400 pounds and is now a triathlete. Danny Maxwell has her story.
My knees hurt, my back hurt, and I had high blood pressure. I was pre-diabetic. You know, I was going down a bad path.
Amy Smith knew she was big, but since her scale only went to 300 pounds, she didn't know how big. She finally weighed herself one day and was shocked when it said 427 pounds.
I sat and cried. I had no idea I had gotten that heavy.
But Amy stayed that way for years. When she had her second daughter, the C-section went terribly wrong because of her weight.
Everything hinged back upon my weight. Depression, my knees hurting and not being able to move. And I figured I would be the 600-pound bedridden mom.
Is that where you thought your life was going?
Absolutely.
It was then Amy decided to save herself. She had gastric bypass surgery, then enrolled at the local Y.
I just stood and did the movements, basically. I couldn't sit down for 3 days.
Then she signed up for a Couch to 5K program and took it twice. She learned to run and realized she wanted to learn to swim, but she had never done that before.
I couldn't put my face in the water the first class. It was very painful.
Just a year later, she runs, bikes, and swims. Amy's completed 2 triathlons and 2 half marathons. Eventually, she wants to do an Ironman.
There's a group of us out there that have had weight loss surgery who are athletes now. See, I can say it. I never was comfortable saying that.
But her coach at SBR in Verona has called her an athlete for a long time.
I've never worked with anybody quite like Amy. She started her journey by losing weight on her own with no guidance and not really knowing what to do other than the fact that she thought she was going to die and she needed to do something.
If you can walk one step today, because that's all you can do, then try it, but try it twice. It's just working with what you've got today.
That's it for news, but stay tuned. Colton's up next with Newsline Weather.
Good afternoon. With Newsline Weather, I'm Colton Yarge. Warning, the following information may be extremely depressing for viewers who love the outdoors. Currently in Brandon, it is cloudy and -21. That wind chill makes it feel more like -24. There is a light 4 km/h breeze out of the west. This evening, we'll see some light flurries with a temperature of -5. The winds will be out of the west at 30 km/h, so it'll feel more like -13. That flurry activity will last overnight, but less than a centimeter is expected. The temperature will slide to -15. Winds will stay strong at 25 kilometers out of the northwest, so with the wind chill, it'll seem more like -24. Taking a look at our radar image, there is a little bit of precipitation slated for the Lac du Bonnet area, and this cell could make its way to Brandon later tonight. Moving to our satellite image, there is a lot of heavy cloud cover to the west, and we can expect to see some of it later in the week. Moving to our 5-day forecast, cool temperatures are expected over the next few days, but that nasty wind chill will make Wednesday and Thursday feel more like -22 and -24. The sun will shine for the weekend, but Saturday will be cool with gusting wind expected, and for Sunday, stay indoors. Plain and simple, it's going to be awful. Now let's take a look around the region. Winnipeg is in at -17, Portage -15, Dauphin is in at -11, Neepawa -16, Carberry checks in at -23, Killarney -15, Minnedosa -25, and Verdun will round us out at -19. Seasonal norms for this time of year are a high of -13 and a low of -24. The record high was set back in 1973 with a temperature of 4.4. The record low was set back even further in 1953 when we bottomed out at -38.3. Once again in Brandon, it is cloudy and -21. That wind chill makes it feel more like -24 with a light west wind at 4 kilometers per hour. That's it for weather, but stick around. Sarah's up next with Newsline Sports.
Good afternoon. With Newsline Sports, I'm Sarah Francis. Fans can take a breath of relief now that the NHL lockout is over, and teams are already on the ice for training camp. The 48-game season kicks off this Saturday when the Winnipeg Jets open at home against the Ottawa Senators. Westman Newsline's Dylan Donald went out to Brandon's Sportsplex during last Friday's Midget AAA game to see how the lockout affected hockey here in Brandon and if the fans are excited to see the NHL return.
The NHL has come to terms on a new collective bargaining agreement as of January the 6th, and now fans will finally see their beloved sport return. Once news broke the 113-day strike had ended, it was only a matter of time until games were announced and players hit the ice for the shortened 48-game season. With professional hockey on cease due to the lockout, smaller market teams were hoping to benefit, but for the AAA Brandon Wheat Kings, this was not the case.
Brandon's kind of a unique market where we're 2 hours away from the closest NHL team anyway. There's just pretty good hockey here with the AAA Midgets and the Brandon Wheat Kings, so you're going to have your diehards that are going to drive to Winnipeg, but for the most part, we get pretty good attendance all the time.
Staff has said they haven't noticed a huge spike in attendance here at the AAA Wheat Kings games, but fans alike are torn between whether to be excited that the game has returned or still in shock that a deal took so long to be finalized. Westman Newsline asked fans Dustin Lahoye and Ray McFarland on their thoughts about the lockout finally coming to an end.
I feel that since it locks out all the time, that the players are in it for the money and not the actual game.
Everyone's pretty pumped for it, everyone likes to watch hockey, and it'll be a short season, so we'll get right into playoffs, which is the most exciting hockey.
For Westman Newsline, with photographer Paul Chuchmuch, I'm Dylan Donald.
Lance Armstrong has ended his cycle of denials. Oprah Winfrey confirmed on CBS this morning that Armstrong confessed to her during an interview that he used performance-enhancing drugs to win his 7 Tour de France titles. The confession was a stunning reversal after years of public statements, interviews, and court battles in which he denied doping and zealously protected his reputation. The interview will air in a 2-part series on Thursday and Friday on the O Network. And Randy, that's it for sports.
Thanks, Sarah. And that's all the time we have for you today. Tune in tomorrow for Brandon's only TV newscast, Westman Newsline.